What happens is that because this is so common, we hear so often of women being abused, and we read in the papers of women being sexually violated, abused in their homes, or murdered, that we tend to shut it down. We desensitize ourselves to it.
It is a problem in our society that women are in fact at risk, and that violence has no place in our society.
What can you see that would lead you to some insight so that these types of things don't happen in your community? It's devastating. These deaths, these losses, not only to the family members, but to the community at large.
November is Women Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month in the province of Ontario, and what we want to do is shine the light on woman abuse so that everybody in this city, in this province, and in this country pays attention to the atrocities of woman abuse.
I would encourage people that if they're aware of domestic violence or if you're a victim of domestic violence, you need to report it.
And what should be the safest place for a woman, her home, is the most dangerous place for women.
The women that I've dealt with in the past in these cases, they feel that they're trapped, and that's part of the problem.
But I think it's important for us to convey to those who struggle with violence and abuse in their family, in their workplace, in their community, to know first and foremost that the city is there to help and assist with all of its partners.
And so we have 4 women that trusted men in their lives, and those men took their lives. And Vanessa Bowl was a young 17-year-old girl, full of life, full of energy, with a young newborn baby.
She was truly very unique. You know, when Vanessa entered a room, it was as though her presence would fill that room with light. She was very easy to get along with. You know, she touched many people's hearts in many different ways. She was very outgoing. She would be the first one to stand up for somebody if she felt that they weren't being treated fairly, and or if it was something that she herself believed in. She was truly a fighter. She was a very, very, very strong-willed, and she was going back to school. She was a very devoted mother to Angelita, and she was very compassionate and so strong-willed that I do believe she would have done very wonderful things. You know, she would have been a good mother, and you know, she was just very, very precious.
Vahida Blazevic was a young woman who came from Bosnia. She had experienced the atrocities of the genocide, came here with post-traumatic stress.
She's really good. If you told her, I like your shoes, she will give you shoes. She said, no, if you like it, take my shoes. That's kind of person she was. She was really nice. She's best mommy on world. She doesn't know how to hate somebody. And then we separated.
She really became a woman that was faceless because of living on the streets. She was homeless for a period. I don't think people gave her the credit she deserved because of her circumstance in life in London, Ontario. And somehow some discounted her life. And so instead of protecting her, some walked by her and didn't pay her the attention she deserved as a human being. She had 2 children who loved her so much. And at the time of her death, in a closet, they found toys and all sorts of gifts that were intended for her children that were never delivered. She was a well-loved, very missed woman.
It's too hard. It's still after 3 years.
And Cheryl Honer was murdered just prior to giving birth to her first child. And by all accounts, she would have been an incredible mother.
But she was at that stage of her life where, she was very busy dealing with her pregnancy, working on her relationship with Mr. Scott, and as well as being a primary caregiver for both of her parents, who resided here in London, a short distance away from where she lived, who had some significant health issues themselves. So she was at that stage of life where I think we find a lot of our young people, very busy with family and with herself at the time.
Her parents both died very soon after her own death. And the police officer that investigated her homicide has indicated that he believes they both died of a broken heart.
It's really important that her story gets out there. Her loss was tragic. You have a male who, notwithstanding some health issues, it's a tragic murder. And not only her, but an 8.5-month-old baby died, and it was a little girl.
Brenda Lee Chillingworth was a 38-year-old woman, an incredible mother to 2 children.
My mom was special to us because she was a wonderful mother, she was a very good friend, and a wonderful daughter and sister. My mom was very passionate about her hairdressing and cooking. She was a hairdresser when I was first born, and she ran her office out of the back of our house. So that was a lot of fun. We always had a lot of people come to the house, and I met a lot of her friends that way.
She worked at Lucas Secondary School. She worked in the cafeteria, and all of the children loved her.
And she wasn't your typical lunch lady. She became friends with the staff and with the students, and she always made the teachers laugh. And with the students, she was just like a second mom to a lot of them. And it really showed when I went in to see her at her work.
And she loved to cook. We don't know what she would have accomplished. Would she have gone on eventually and opened her own restaurant or food services business? We don't know, but we know she would have been probably the greatest grandmother ever, but she's gone.
Other people said that my mom was the life of the party. She had the most contagious smile and the most contagious laugh, and everybody looked up to her. She was only about 5'2", but everybody looked up to her, and she was a lot of fun. She listened to people, she helped people when they needed to be helped, and she's very well missed by a lot of people.
So these are human beings that made contributions to society and had so much to give and would have continued to have given to this society. And many of the family members we've spoken to in our office have said to me it's their greatest fear that these women will be forgotten.
We all have a responsibility. We have a responsibility in our homes to teach our children. We have a responsibility in the community.
As men, we need to take a responsibility of domestic violence, and we need to educate other men that it's not acceptable, that there are different ways to resolve issues.
All women are potential victims, so it doesn't matter if you are well educated or not. It doesn't matter if you are affluent or not. It doesn't matter where you live. It can happen in any community, any neighborhood.
It has to be addressed, and we have to essentially say, not here, not now, not ever, and therefore convey that sense of caring and compassion to anyone who's struggling in their home, in their workplace, and in the community, that violence is not going to be tolerated in our society, and that women have options rather than staying in a very, very difficult situation.
It is our ultimate goal that all women in this community have a safe place to go, and that's their home. Shining the light on women abuse is an important campaign. The Council to End Women Abuse, I think, is a way of engaging all of our community, our community leaders, and all of our stakeholders to say that there is something that we can do. Not only raise awareness, but more importantly, to make sure that there's caring, love, and compassion there for those who are confronted with this violence.